This transmigrator stole my identity to live as a princess, hogging all the luxury, while keeping me as her servant just to humiliate me. She eventually became the most pampered princess in the Da Vinci dynasty, while she shipped me off to the military camp as a war slave, where I was tortured to death. Opening my eyes again, I'm back at the blood testing ceremony with the transmigrator in front of the Empress. This time I can actually hear her inner thoughts. If the water has alum in it, any two blood samples will mix just fine. So what if she's the real princess? With just a few cheap tricks, isn't all this status and wealth already in my pocket? I was just busy plotting how to handle this. I looked up and saw the Empress staring at me with a strained expression, saying, "There's no need to test. I am the real princess." "Your Highness, the servant has brought the two children as you requested." The familiar shrill voice of Eunuch Liu echoed through the hall. I snapped out of my daze as our eyes met, but I immediately lowered my gaze before the Empress could see too much. The pure joy in my heart made my body tremble uncontrollably. I have undergone regression, and I'm back in my 8-year-old body, the very day Eunuch Liu brought Xu Minji and me to the palace for the blood testing. In my past life I was terrified and shy, while Xu Minji acted weirdly confident and composed. Even without the blood test, everyone took one look and assumed I was Zafint, and she was the main character. And that's exactly how it went down. During the blood test I was the real princess, but my blood didn't mix with the Emperor's, while Xu Minji's blood miraculously did. From that moment she leveled up and became the princess. It wasn't until I was on my deathbed that Xu Minji bragged to me herself, revealing that I was the real princess all along, and that she was a transmigrator from another world, mocking me as just a local from a feudal dynasty, saying, even if I lived 1,000 lives, I could never outplay a transmigrator from the future. While I was spiraling, I heard Eunuch Liu pipe up, "Your Highness, this servant has a suggestion. Since both children have birthmarks, why not proceed with the blood testing ceremony?" I clenched my fists. In my past life, this whole blood test ritual was my downfall. Just then, I heard Xu Minji's voice. "Blood test? How ancient and stupid, but this is exactly my chance. If the water is spiked with alum, any 2 drops of blood will mix. So what if she's the real princess? With a few petty schemes, won't all this luxury and power be mine for the taking?" I looked over at Xu Minji, confirming that her lips hadn't moved at all. As for the Empress and Eunuch Liu, they didn't seem to hear a single thing. While I was spiraling, I looked up to see the Empress staring at me with a look of intense restraint. No need for further testing, she is the true princess. It wasn't just me who was shook, even Xu Minji looked totally stunned. Could the Empress also— wait, am I hearing Xu Minji's internal thoughts? What the hell is going on? This old hag says no more testing? No way, I've got to figure this out. I have to force her to do that blood test. I was certain Xu Minji hadn't spoken, and everything I just heard was her literal internal monologue. Eunuch Liu spoke up from the side. "Your Highness, finding the princess is a matter of state. Perhaps we should still proceed with the test?" "How dare you? I am her mother. Do you think I can't recognize my own child? If I say she is the princess, then she is the princess." Xu Minji, that little snake, immediately dropped to her knees with a loud thud. She spoke subserviently. "Your Majesty, Empress, the commoner believes the eunuch makes a valid point. Finding the lost princess is no trivial matter. To silence the rumors of the court, a blood test is the most appropriate course of action. Please, I beg you to reconsider." The Empress stayed silent, just staring at her, while I kept a hawk-like watch on Xu Minji. In my past life, she made sure to show everyone that she was smarter and more capable than me in every single way. Plus, she had the clout of being the only daughter of the Emperor and Empress. After the blood test back then, Xu Minji's was crowned as the princess. Because she acted so mature and wrote such brilliant poetry, the Emperor showered her with unprecedented favor. I didn't get it back then, but thinking about it now, how smart can an 8-year-old girl really be? But if an 8-year-old body is actually housing the soul of a grown-ass woman, and one who comes from another world, then everything suddenly makes perfect sense. And what if this consort refuses? I get it perfectly well. If I say no, Xu Minji is definitely going to scheme another way. Besides, Xu Minji actually has a point. Even if the Empress acknowledges me as her daughter, the imperial court isn't exactly going to just roll out the red carpet for this princess. So I took the high road and knelt, begging Her Majesty to let us perform the blood test. The Empress looked at me, her hands clenching tight, and after a long tense silence, she finally spoke. "Fine." Xu Minji and I were promptly dragged to the main hall. Eunuch Liu took 2 bowls of water from a palace maid and set them right in front of Xu Minji and me. A little eunuch pricked the Emperor's finger, dropping 2 beads of blood into the respective bowls. As Xu Minji moved in, I acted faster, biting my finger and dropping my blood into the bowl she was aiming for. It probably happened way too fast for anyone to process. Xu Minji was totally shook. "What are you doing?" That bowl was clearly mine. I didn't say a word, just stood there, main character energy radiating. Out of the corner of my eye I caught the Emperor's brow twitch, barely noticeable, and a second later, the blood drops merged perfectly. The entire court was buzzing with gossip. They merged. I told you, she's got that royal aura. She's definitely the princess. And just as I expected, they were all like, only a true princess could possess such noble energy. I tried to suppress the urge to roll my eyes at their hypocrisy. A bunch of clout-chasing sycophants. In my past life, they said the exact same thing about Shu Minji during the blood test. I looked at Shu Minji, calm as a cucumber. Your turn. Shu Minji gritted her teeth, letting the eunuch prick her finger, but you could tell she was spiraling. Regardless, the results were a total flop for her. The blood drops didn't mix at all. This time Shu Minji lost all composure. Tears were streaming down her face, but she forced herself to stay quiet and knelt with the rest of the court, joining the chorus. Congratulations to the Emperor on finding your princess. Inside, she was absolutely fuming, thinking, just you wait, so what if you're the princess? With my connections, I'll still stomp you into the dirt like I did before. She cried while apologizing, sobbing that it was all her mother's fault. Don't worry, my child. In this regression, I will protect you with my life. I'm positive that the real Empress has also regressed. In my past life, after the blood testing ceremony, I was supposed to be given 100 taels of silver and kicked out of the palace, but Shu Minji stopped it. She batted her big eyes, acting all innocent and pure, while being a total snake in the Empress's arms. Mother, besides you and the Emperor, I don't know anyone in this palace. I have a weird connection with her. Can she just stay by my side? She knew that as long as I was around, she wouldn't have peace of mind, so she figured it's better to keep me close. Plus, what's more fun than bullying a princess who used to be high and mighty? Just like that, I became the lowliest palace maid in the entire imperial court. I was stuck serving tea and water, and occasionally being her personal punching bag whenever she needed to vent. In this life, Shu Minji was supposed to be kicked out of the palace too. But the next day, the Empress Dowager showed up at my mother's quarters with Shu Minji in tow. I find this girl very charming. She was born on the exact same day, month and year as Shu'er. Why not let her stay and be her companion? What do you think, Empress? I didn't even need to hear Shu Minji's thoughts. I could already tell what she was plotting. She was just using this chance to stay in the palace, waiting for the right moment to steal everything that belongs to me. This is a girl who could even bribe the palace eunuchs. Tampering with the blood test water was definitely her handiwork. I don't think there's any need to keep this little girl here. Shu'er grew up among the commoners and isn't used to the palace rules yet. If I keep a country girl who knows nothing about etiquette by her side, I'm afraid it will ruin her. Shu'er, what do you think? I bowed respectfully to the Empress. Mother is right, but I think Imperial Grandmother makes a fair point too. I agree to let her stay by my side. Shu Minji ended up staying by my side after all. I knew that since she already secured the Empress Dowager's favor, she'd find a way to stay regardless. Instead of letting a hidden threat lurk in the shadows, I'd rather keep her close and see what other tricks she has up her sleeve. Shu Minji, you practically handed yourself to me this time. It's just like my past life, only now, I'm the one keeping her by my side as a servant. She probably thinks I'm just a dumb 8-year-old. She's already looking at me with total contempt. I didn't make things hard for her. Instead, I played it low-key, acting like an innocent little kid to keep her off guard. Finally the day arrived. Shu Minji was actually making a move. I just got back from hanging out and was thirsty, so I told my maid to bring me some tea. The maid replied, and immediately headed my way with the tea tray. Right then and there, I could hear Shu Minji's inner thoughts. She was plotting. If I make the maid spill the tea and scare this little idiot, I'll just add fuel to the fire to make sure she gets punished severely. The rumor that the princess is arrogant and bossy will spread like wildfire. Then we'll see if the Empress still favors this brainless, bratty girl. Once I heard her internal monologue, I didn't even have time to give a heads up. Shu Minji sneakily stuck her leg out, and the maid carrying the tea tripped right in front of me. Seeing her petty plan working, Shu Minji was the first to rush over and start acting out. You bold slave, are you blind or something? Are you trying to splash tea all over the princess on purpose? Your Highness, if you ask me. This useless servant clearly did it on purpose, and needs to be punished harshly. Otherwise, all these servants are going to start disrespecting you. That maid was being framed by Shu Minji and started shaking, frantically kowtowing to beg for mercy. No, Your Highness, I didn't do it on purpose. Please forgive me. I stood up calmly while the other maids rushed to wipe the tea off me, and I just looked at the poor maid with a clueless, innocent expression. She just tripped by accident. She's already hurt. Why would I punish her? Get up, it's just spilled tea. Just go get me another cup. The maid on the floor was stunned, then immediately started kowtowing to me. Thank you, Your Highness. Xu Minji clearly wasn't over it, and kept trying to manipulate me. Princess, you have to punish her severely. You just came back from the commoner life. If you don't execute her to show these servants who's boss, they're all going to be walking all over you. I kept up the innocent act. My imperial father always ruled with virtue and kindness towards others. I'm his daughter, so obviously, I have to follow his lead. If I really wanted to show the servants who's boss, shouldn't I start by killing you instead? Xu Minji's face went ghost white instantly, and I just laughed. Anyway, I'm thirsty, keep talking, and I'll actually die of thirst. Killing her that easily would be way too much mercy for someone like her. Probably because she caught a whiff of her own failure, Xu Minji stayed quiet for the next few days. Once I got used to the palace life, I went to find Xiao Jinyan, the hostage prince sent over by the Dai Li kingdom when he was a kid. In a dilapidated, crumbling shack, the scrawny tiny boy was getting kicked around by a few eunuchs, but even though he was small and weak, he refused to back down. The eunuchs were acting way out of pocket, pinning him down so he couldn't even move. Another one grabbed a handful of literal scraps from the slop bucket, laughing like a maniac while shoving it into his mouth. Watching this go down, my chest physically ached. I snapped, "All of you, get up right now. That's an order from this princess. Who gave you losers permission to bully him like this?" In my past life, Xiao Jinyan had to survive in the cracks of this place. Treated like absolute trash, he was constantly humiliated by these eunuchs, and I was frequently punished by Xu Minji. When Xu Minji forced me to scrub the latrines, he'd stay right by my side helping me scrub. If other palace maids tried to bully me, he'd throw his own safety out the window and jump in front to protect me, knowing full well that a brutal beating from those eunuchs was waiting for him as a reward. He'd just smile at me and say, "Don't be scared, I'm a guy. My skin is tough, it doesn't even hurt. Sure, I'll protect you forever." Maybe he did all that because we were both trauma bonded, or maybe it was because of our first meeting. When he was beaten to within an inch of his life by those eunuchs, I'd given him a hot bun, but fate ultimately wasn't on his side. Xu Minji was jealous that he protected me, so she set him up and framed him for trying to assault her. The emperor was absolutely triggered, but since he was a prince of the Dai Li kingdom, he had to report the incident to the Dai Li emperor. The Dai Li emperor sent his concubine mother over with gifts to personally beg for forgiveness. The day after meeting his mother, he left behind a suicide note written in blood and jumped from the high tower. Back then, Xu Minji stood above me, grabbing my hair and forcing me to look directly into his empty, despairing eyes. "So what if this princess lied? I just couldn't stand how good he was to you. Do you even know how pathetic he was? Even his own mother didn't believe he was innocent. She literally made him kneel and kowtow to apologize to me. Oh, and you want to know the final straw that broke him? It was what I told him. I hired someone to forge your handwriting, and I told him you were a bottom-tier trash. So he died in absolute despair. TSK, isn't it just tragic? That bloodless face and those hollow eyes from my memory blurred together with the pale face of the boy right in front of me. I lunged forward, not caring about anything, and pulled him into my arms. Xiao Jinyan, this time I'm absolutely not letting this tragic ending happen again. I dragged Xiao Jinyan back then he was just skin and bones, covered in scars from head to toe. He was out cold for 3 days and nights, and when he finally opened his eyes, he gave me the most guarded look ever. Are you nobles finally dropping the act and showing your true colors? Go ahead, kill me or cut me down, do whatever you want. His lips were trembling. You could tell he was going through some major emotional damage. I just wrapped him in a gentle hug. No, I'm only here to protect you. Funny enough, the emperor, who's usually drowning in busy work, somehow knew I brought Xiao Jinyan into my chambers. When the maid announced the emperor was arriving, Xu Minji was literally tweaking harder than I was. She scurried over and threw herself at my feet. Your Highness, the emperor has never liked this little prince. If he finds out you've got him here, he's going to lose it. What are we even supposed to do now? If this were my past life, I'd be spiraling and losing my cool over her manipulative drama. But I'm different now. I know exactly what her little game is. She wants to know where I'm hiding Xiao Jinyan, so she'll play the victim and eventually confess his location to get in good with the emperor. The emperor is paranoid as hell and loves it when people are honest with him. In my past life, Xu Minji played this to a T, which is how she became his favorite princess. So I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Why are you tweaking, you little snake? The little prince is my guest, so what if I brought him to my chambers? This empire is vast, and my father is a wise ruler. He's not going to be petty about something like this." Well said. You truly are my daughter. Your logic matches mine perfectly. Everyone dropped to their knees, and I followed suit with a bow. Then I heard Xu Minji's inner thoughts screaming. Damn it, how did this brainless brat suddenly get so smart? While the emperor was asking questions, I doubled down and dropped some more truth bombs. The world is divided right now, but your heart is set on the people. You'll definitely unify these two nations sooner or later. You have such a merciful heart, and if you nurture this young prince now, it'll show the world your benevolence. And when you finally unify the lands, everyone will know that no matter who they are, as long as they are your subjects, they'll never be mistreated. The emperor was absolutely beaming. Once he left, he immediately gifted Xiao Jinyan a palace right next to mine. Not only that, he straight up executed the eunuchs who used to bully Xiao Jinyan. With this stunt, absolutely no one in the Great Vienge dynasty dares to bully Xiao Jinyan ever again. The empress is still totally stressed about my situation, and has already plotted to unalive Zi Minji a few times. If it weren't for me, that girl would have been checked out long ago, but it's definitely not her time to go yet. Whenever she brings it up, the empress just gets this helpless look on her face, like she's about to give up. Seeing how worried she is, I begged her to assign me a bodyguard with some serious combat skills. After she placed the handmaiden Fu Ling by my side, the empress finally stopped spiraling. In my past life, thanks to Zi Minji's generosity, I was just a low-level servant, living in constant fear and survival mode, with zero chance to actually level up my education. It wasn't until I was with Xiao Jinyan later on that he actually took the time to teach me how to read. He told me that reading clears the mind, and discipline is the only way to strike gold. I know that with my status as a princess, if I really want to protect the people I care about, I can't just rely on hearing Zi Minji's inner thoughts. I need to rely on my own main character energy. So when the emperor and empress suggested hiring a grand scholar to tutor me, I was all for it, and I even insisted that Xiao Jinyan study with me. But of course, Zi Minji caught wind of this, dragged me into a room, and tried to gaslight me with, "Princess, your highness, studying is just so exhausting. You're a princess. If you don't want to learn this stuff, you absolutely don't have to. You already suffered enough among the commoners. You're here to live your best life now." I've never even heard of a princess needing to be a scholar just to prove she deserves her title. It's like the emperor. He needs smart ministers to handle the heavy lifting. He doesn't need to be the one doing the work. I'll admit, Zi Minji's manipulative logic is honestly pretty convincing if you're not paying attention. But I see right through her little game. 2 days ago, she made sure to be caught reading, just when the emperor walked by, and she actually got a few compliments for it. Now she's just trying to bait me into being lazy so I can fall out of favor with the emperor. Obviously, I'm not letting that happen, so I immediately went off on her. How dare you? Where did you even pick up that twisted logic? Sure, the emperor relies on his ministers, but he is only the ruler he is because he's actually brilliant, and his talent is exactly why everyone respects him, making him the legendary king he is today. And you, as my personal attendant, instead of encouraging me to level up and think big, you're trying to sabotage me? And here she was, trying to manipulate this princess into being a hedonist. What was her twisted game? I caught a glimpse of the imperial yellow robes at the doorway. Looks like the gift I prepped for Xu Minji was finally about to shine. As expected, the emperor overheard our little chat and was absolutely losing his mind. "You bold, lowly servant, I placed you by the princess's side to keep her company and help her grow, not to poison her mind. And look at you, how bold you are, trying to manipulate the princess like this. If it weren't for the fact that my princess is brilliant, you would have turned her into a complete waste of space, wouldn't you? The empress is right, you're nothing but a toxic plague." After saying that, the emperor snatched the sword from a guard's hand and held it straight to Xu Minji's throat. Xu Minji had just been smacked across the room by a palm strike, coughing up a literal pool of blood, and now, seeing that cold steel at her neck, she was shook, pale as a ghost, and completely spiraling. "Father, please calm down." I slammed my knees onto the ground, putting on my best damsel in distress act. Even though Minji messed up, she's still the only friend Shu'er has ever known. I flipped the narrative, pinning the whole thing on her toxic, loose-lipped attitude. "Shu'er begs you to just have her tongue removed and send her to the Imperial Mausoleum to guard graves. Let her keep her pathetic life." The shock on Xu Minji's face instantly twisted into pure, unadulterated rage. She started bowing frantically at the emperor's feet, begging for her life like her head was going to fall off. "Your Majesty, please spare this servant. I promise I'll never do it again." Seeing the emperor wasn't buying the act, he waved his hand, signaling the eunuchs to drag her out for her punishment. Xu Minji finally snapped, descending into absolute madness. "Your Majesty, she isn't the real princess, I am the real one. I came from another world. I'm the destined main character. You can't treat me like this." Following a blood-curdling scream as she was dragged away, those Delulu rants were finally silenced. When I stepped outside, Xu Minji's mouth was already stained with blood, and she was staring at me with pure hate, using every dirty thought in her head to curse me 1,000 times over. As the eunuchs hauled her off to the Imperial Mausoleum, I could hear her inner monologue spiraling into a desperate, toxic threat. Yun Shu, the heavens brought me here for a reason, to crush you backward, feudal locals into the dirt. Just wait, one day I'll make you pay for this 1,000 times over. I arched an eyebrow, keeping my own thoughts to myself. Xumin Shi, I'll be waiting for your comeback. But enjoy rotting away in the freezing, miserable imperial mausoleum, where you'll be struggling, just to even if you have to endure the utter humiliation from those servants. You must stay strong and keep living. After all, I went through the same thing in my past life, and the misery you're feeling is literally just the beginning. For the days that followed, Xiao Jinyan and I studied under the great scholar of the elite houses. He was so brilliant. After a few debates, not only did the master adore him, but the emperor grew more fond of him by the day. When I wasn't studying, I pulled out the notebooks I'd prepped long ago. These were all the secrets I'd gathered from hearing her inner thoughts whenever she was around. Things like how to craft exquisite, fragrant soap or even how to make glass. And I even documented the entire blueprint for running a successful bank. These were the exact schemes Shuminji used in her past life. She just kept them low-key so no one knew her methods. Back then, she flexed those otherworld skills to dominate the business world, building her own massive commercial empire from the ground up, and she even secretly raised an army just to seize the throne of the Great Vinge dynasty. But in this life, I'm only using this knowledge to protect the people I actually care about. I handed the business operations over to Fu Ling, ordering her to keep everything on the down low. I'm preparing for a worst-case scenario, but honestly, I hope that day never comes. Before I knew it, 8 years had flown by. During those 8 years, I'd occasionally drop by to visit Xu Minji. She's mute now, and just as I expected, she's living a pathetic, miserable life. The servants kick her around for the slightest reason, and eating scraps is basically her daily routine. Whenever I visit, I accidentally lead her into spilling even more useful intel from her past life. I've successfully become the most favored and respected princess of the Great Vinge dynasty, and Xiao Jinyan has evolved into the most talented prince of the realm. The emperor's affection for him is deep, but I can see the shadows of worry growing on his brow. Noticing his anxiety, I quietly moved to his side and started massaging his temples. Is your majesty thinking about Brother Yan again? The emperor glanced at me, then gave a heavy sigh. I've raised this child here for so many years, and he truly has my favor, but you know how it is. No matter how much I like him, he isn't my own flesh and blood. I smiled and said, if your majesty likes him so much, why not just keep him by your side forever? The look the emperor gave me turned even more intense and strange. I know the emperor and the empress had a deep, legendary love. Plus, the years I spent lost among the commoners became a chronic illness for the empress, leaving her in constant, frail health. Because the emperor was so obsessed with the empress's health, I was the only princess under their roof. In my past life, Shuminji's ambition to become empress was partially fueled by this very fact. I nodded. Exactly. Even though Xiao Canyon is a prince of the Dai Li kingdom, he has a trash dad and no mother's love, so instead of heading back, he's better off living his best life here in Xijiao forever. Besides, he's a rare talent and my father is the one who recognizes it. He has no regrets in this life. It wasn't until after Xiao Canyon died in my past life that I finally learned the truth about his situation in Dai Li. The truth is, the person who came to Dai Rong to apologize back then wasn't even his biological mother. His real mother was just a low-born palace maid. Someone the emperor only slept with as a drunken whim. His birth mother was executed by the emperor immediately after giving birth to him, and Jing Fei, who raised him, held a grudge and saw him as a total eyesore, a thorn in her side, and calling it raising him. It was really just treating him like a pet dog. The emperor didn't love him, so when he needed a hostage, he didn't hesitate to toss him out, using him to buy time to catch his breath and recover, and hoping the Dai Rong emperor would do his dirty work and off him, only to use his death as a convenient excuse to launch a war later. To make this betrayal look flawless, the Dai Li emperor even publicly claimed that Xiao Canyon was the top candidate for crown prince. I knew all of this, but instead of telling the emperor, I spoke up. Father, does a father truly love his child? I think I'm the best person to answer that. If a father really loved his child, he'd never trade that kid's life for a peace treaty, and he definitely wouldn't ignore them for years on end. I know you're already questioning this, father. After all, Xiao Canyon was only 5 when he was sent here. He was an innocent hostage, and with a face that cute and lovable, it's impossible that there isn't some dark secret behind all of this. Predictably, the emperor immediately had people quietly investigate the situation. With the extra clues I secretly planted, he got to the bottom of the drama in no time. That night, the emperor summoned me and Xiao Canyon to the study. He laid out the hard receipts of his investigation right in front of Xiao Canyon. The emperor stared him down and said, Xiao Canyon, I'm giving you 2 choices. First, return to your kingdom of Dai Li, and reclaim everything that's rightfully yours. Second, stay here and swear an oath to the heavens that from this day forward, you belong solely to the Da Vinci dynasty. I saw his eyes turn bloodshot, his knuckles white as he gripped his robe, before he finally slammed a deep bow toward the emperor. Xiao Xinyan swore to the heavens. He pledged his life to the Da Vinci dynasty, and if he broke his vow, he'd accept whatever divine retribution came his way. A man who has clawed his way out of hell won't choose to go back there again, and I stood on that. I teased him then, reminding him that since he'd sworn to my father, there was no backing out for the rest of his life. Do you regret it? No regrets. Xiao Xinyan, usually the cold-blooded loner, blushed for the first time and muttered, I'm not staying because I'm a coward clinging to life, but because I can't stand being away from you. You said you wanted to protect me, so naturally, I want to protect you for eternity. I laughed, knowing I didn't pick the wrong guy from the start. News from Fuqing arrived soon after. Tu Manchi had finally been dragged out of the royal mausoleum. I knew the moment I'd been waiting for was finally going down. In my past life, she didn't just brag about being a transmigrator from another world. She claimed to be a princess of Dai Lei. The fact that I ended up a commoner on the streets? Yeah, that was all thanks to Dai Li's schemes. They colluded with my wet nurse to kidnap me from the palace, originally planning to raise me in Dai Lei as a lethal assassin, grooming me to eventually kill my own biological father. But things went south, and I ended up lost in the common world instead. Once she realized the Emperor of Da Vinci was looking for his lost daughter, this transmigrator immediately saw an opening and started her schemes. She didn't just have a replica birthmark faked. She even tampered with the blood-testing water. The twist? They actually found me, the real princess, but she pulled a fast one and snatched the identity for herself. Realizing the Emperor had no other kids, she went full-blown villain and changed the game. She didn't just want the princess title anymore. She wanted to be the empress who ruled the entire world. But in this timeline, she's a total flop, rotting in the royal mausoleum. So now she's desperate, begging her Dalai. Turns out Da Vinci's security is tighter than her moral compass, so she only just managed to break through. After spilling the tea, Fuling filled me in. Your Highness, just as you predicted, after leaving the imperial mausoleum, she immediately went to find merchants to sell her inventions. Too bad the secret family formula she peddled was stuff we retired eons ago, so she got kicked to the curb. Now she's wandering the streets of the capital with nowhere to go. Major L energy. I gave Fuling the nod to keep tabs on every single move Xu Minji makes. Before long, news broke. In a desperate act of delulu, Xu Minji went by the name Lady Furong, begging for an audience with the Emperor to offer her wisdom. The Emperor is known for caring more about talent than status, so he's always down to meet commoners with big ideas. And just like that, he summoned Lady Furong, who was still playing dress-up under her fake persona. The court officials lined the hall, and the Emperor looked genuinely hyped. Xu Minji stepped up, presenting her masterpieces, a collection of poems and political treatises, right there in the throne room. The Emperor scanned them on the spot and asked, Are you certain you wrote every single word of this? Xu Minji was too stunned to speak, so she just nodded like a total amateur. Little did she know, the Emperor went full-on villain mode, throwing the papers at the eunuch and ordering him to show the ministers. The ministers exchanged side eyes. They all recognized the work because those poems have been viral hits among the commoners for ages. The grand finale for Xu Minji, 20 lashes, and a swift escort out of the palace gates. Fuling couldn't help but gush that this princess is basically a psychic. Xu Minji looks like such a clown, never realizing this entire trap was set by yours truly. In my past life, Xu Minji used those stolen poems to build her reputation and get the people to stan her. This time around, while she was stuck by my side, I used her inner monologue to realize her genius was just straight-up plagiarism. Everything from Li Bai, Wang Wei Dufu, Li Qingzhao, and Li Yu. It was all stolen, and her political insights were just copy-paste of Jiayi's essays, along with Lu Zongyuan's feudalism and Su Xun's on the 6 states. Once I had the receipts, right before Xu Minji was sent to the imperial mausoleum, I had my people compile them all, slapped the original authors' names on them, and locked them away in the national vault. I might not know who these legends were, but it's their life's work, and I wasn't about to let that snake steal the credit. I crossed paths with Xu Minji again on the main boulevard of Vin City. The arrogant, high and mighty Xu Minji from before had lost all her former glow. She was now just a mess in rags, slumped against a corner. The moment she saw me, she struggled to drag herself off the ground, frantically signaling to ask if I had also transmigrated like her. I was just here to watch her downfall, not to host a Q&A session. So, I played the clueless card and shut her down. Turns out her whole master plan had completely imploded. Even the Emperor of Dale had dumped her like a useless princess. As I walked away, a desperate Xu Minji suddenly pulled a hidden dagger from her sleeve and lunged at Fuling. Fu Ling is a total badass with top-tier skills. Before the girl could even get close, she sent her flying with one single strike. Even as she hit the floor, Xu Minji was still frantically gesturing at asking, "You're the one who transmigrated, right? If not, how did you know how to make soap and glass? And those clever schemes, they came from you, didn't they? Why did you have to ruin everything for me?" I knew that the moment the Queen Mother assigned Fu Ling to my side, Xu Minji would eventually go full feral. Honestly, Xu Minji turned out to be way more unhinged than I even imagined. She had tried to have Fu Ling assassinated more than once, but she had no clue that neither of us were transmigrators like her. As I stepped into my carriage to leave, I saw a group of greedy-looking beggars dragging her away. I figured she didn't have much time left. When she was on her deathbed, I decided to pay her one last visit. She was lying on a pile of filthy straw, covered in sores, with dried tear tracks mapping her miserable face. When she saw me, her swollen bloodshot eyes locked onto mine, still desperately wondering why. Why was she the one suffering such a tragic end? It was supposed to be me. Where exactly did she go wrong? I sat down slowly and spilled the tea, laying out exactly what I had done to her all this time. Finally, I leaned into her ear and whispered, "Because I'm the ghost of the life you destroyed, and I came back from the grave to collect my debt." Xu Minji glared at me with pure hate, tears streaming down her face, until she finally coughed up a lungful of blood and kicked the bucket. Psychological warfare was the biggest lesson I learned from her in my past life. After Xu Minji kicked the bucket, the Daivin dynasty pivoted to a new business model, and trade started absolutely popping off. A year later, the emperor of the Dailei kingdom fell deathly ill, and his princes started fighting over the throne. It was pure chaos, total bloodshed. While those princes were busy self-destructing, Xiao Xinyan suggested to the emperor that we should strike. In just 3 short months, the Dailei army crumbled like a house of cards, and the Daivin dynasty unified the realm. The emperor got exactly what he wanted, but I knew those princes turning on each other wasn't just a simple coincidence. Without Xiao Xinyan's big brain moves, things wouldn't have gone down that quickly. During the victory banquet, the emperor was feeling a bit tipsy, and asked Xiao Xinyan what reward he wanted. Xiao Xinyan downed his drink, shot me a look with red-rimmed eyes, and then strode forward to kneel before the emperor. "This humble servant loves the princess, and I beg your majesty to grant us a marriage." Everyone in the room was shook, completely thrown off by his audacity, since Xiao Xinyan was technically a remnant of the defeated Dailei kingdom. But the emperor just laughed loudly, waved his hand, and gave his full blessing. In August of that same year, he officially became my husband. That night he held me tight, his body trembling just a little. He whispered, "Yunshu, I had the worst nightmare. I dreamt I was being framed, and you wouldn't believe a word I said." "No, it wasn't even that you wouldn't believe me, you were just completely in the dark. Yunshu, you have to believe me. No matter what happens, I would never betray you. Yunshu, I'll keep every promise I made to you, just you and me, for this life and everyone after." 10 years after the Daivin dynasty unified the world, everything was peaceful and thriving. The emperor claimed he was feeling his age, and wanted to retire with the empress. So he handed the crown over to me. Just like that, I became the empress regnant, and Xiao Xinyan became the first consort of the Daivin